Nat 20. Hi folks, Merlin here, bringing you another Dungeons & Dragons adventurer video. So, fully recovered from my bit of flu, and I am about to film 2 issues in one go. So, these will be separate videos, but I'll be filming them back to back, just so I can get caught up on the content I missed out on last week. So, to kick things off then, we'll take a look at issue 16. So this was, I believe, 2 weeks ago's issue, but pretty cool one. We are introduced to the power of teamwork, very important for dungeon adventuring. We learn about the seeds of the swords, prove our mettle in contests, and of course we have a brand new exclusive adventure, plus a look into taverns and inns of the Forgotten Realms. As usual then, we have a free gift, and with issue 16 we got ourselves a set of 5 MDF inspiration tokens. So yeah, real good. I've got my models down so I can show you how these work, but it's pretty simple really. So if you've got a character of inspiration, just put your model on top of the marker or inside it if the base is small enough. But yeah, we'll have a look at those, of course, close detail in just a bit. So before we jump over the table, don't forget to do, of course, all the usual. Don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying the Dungeons & Dragons content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As of this morning, that is Tuesday the 13th, we have hit the massive 500 subscribers, and I now need to decide what I'm going to do to thank you guys for doing it. Any suggestions, just drop them in the comment section down below. Yeah, we've hit 500 subscribers, which is a big milestone. I never thought I'd make it that far in, well, pretty much 3 years, a pretty short amount of time if you consider YouTube accounts. But we got plenty more content to bring you, and this channel is going to grow more and more. I made a decision the other day that starting March I will be putting up a chance to watch all my videos early up on Patreon, so I'll get all my February stuff out the way of, and then everything will go to first chance to view on my Patreon page starting March 1st. That'll be available to all my tiers, so you can sign up at the lowest amount, which is I think £3.50. So, cup of coffee sort of price. Sign up and you'll get access to, of course, all my videos early and without ads, which is fantastic. Right, let's jump over the table. We'll take a look at this issue and see how those inspiration markers work. So here we are with our latest issue. So before we go through the issue, we will take a look at our freebies, but let's have a look at that glorious cover again. So yeah, really fun-filled issue. I'm liking that we're getting more and more pages towards the DM, which is a lot in these next few issues, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's that. Right, so let's have a look at the inspiration markers. So here they are, just in their baggie. Get a couple out just to show. So they're really cool, nice laser cut MDF with the D&D and in the center and inspiration printed around the outside. I was expecting these to be punch out that we had to build ourselves, but it's nice that they are pre-assembled. So we got a couple of characters here. We got our Wood Nymph Bard, and she's on the smaller size base. And as you can see, she fits in quite snugly, well, quite loosely actually. There's a lot of wiggle room, but We've also got our Dragonborn Barbarian, who's on the slightly larger base, and as you can see, he doesn't quite fit, so he just has to stand on top, like so. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Nice way to help remind your players that they have inspiration to use. And once they've used their inspiration dice, they simply remove the marker and put their figure back down. So, yeah, not the most value-filled issue, but something fun and whimsical nonetheless. So, with that out of the way, we can dive straight into the issue. Right, let's take a look through our issue. So, our full contents then. So, our adventure is Adventure 16 for Encounter 2, A Night to Remember. A pretty laid back adventure, but there's still going to be a little combat involved. Nothing too heavy though. So we got a good amount of pages for the overview. So we got Section A overview, page 18, learning to work together. Then we have 4 pages all for the DM. So 5C, part 3 of managing your monsters. 11, missing and new players. 12, taverns and inns. And 13, contests, challenges and tournaments. So I really like that they're ramping up the level of content for a DM, really helpful for those wishing to take the lead role, as it would be. Then for character creation, we got an overview as we start looking at the factions. So I think for next issue, we actually look at one of the factions in depth. And I think we're going to be getting one every so many issues as we go forward. We then have a new species to look at, the Ganassi, or possibly Gensai. I used to think it was Gensai. I got the A and the S swapped around, which I actually do kind of prefer that name, the Gensai. But yeah, Ganassi, however you pronounce it. Then we have a page all about them. And finally then for our lore, we have a page all about locations, looking at the Sea of Swords. So with this issue, we had a set of inspiration markers that DMs can use to reward players to show creativity during game and give them the inspiration advantage. We also have the D&D Beyond website there with a QR code if you'd like to visit it yourself. And again, our usual customer service details, as well as a reminder on binders for those of you collecting via retail stores. Right, let's get started with Sage Advice A, Working Together. In D&D, adventurers work together to win battles against fearsome monsters, explore dangerous locations, and negotiate with NPCs. So, yeah, just because you're part of a team, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get along with everyone. You might have a point of view that perhaps someone else doesn't agree on. You might be a druid, and perhaps somebody says advancing technology is going to be our savior, but you think, no, we need to really consider nature and being harmonious with the world. And yeah, you might not get off on the right foot. But this is a co-op game, and it's important that you do learn to work together and use your abilities as best you can. So we have a box here all about group checks. So this will be a special type of check that the DM will ask everyone to make a roll. If a majority of the group pass the check, it is considered a success. If they fail though, then the whole group fails. So yeah, it does really pay to work well as a team, as it mentions. So we also have working together as part of a team in combat. So if you are within a certain distance, such as here, 5 feet, you can use the help action to give a friendly character within that range the ability to gain advantage on the next roll. Spells are always a great way to buff your allies and even defeat your enemies. Clerics are often your best healers, but they can do other things, so don't always rely on them to heal. If you have a potion of healing, there's no point shouting over to your cleric, "Heal me!" when he's actually in the middle of fending off 3 skeletons. You might as well just chug your potion and let the cleric get on and protect himself. But then we have all about exploration and social interaction, so it's always good to work as a team when it comes to the non-combat side of things. Somebody might have a specific ability that works in favor for convincing NPCs to loan them a cart or something, or even haggle at the market. So yeah, finally then we got role playing, and yeah, this is all about pretty much taking on the role, working in character as well as out of character. Yeah, you can even use the help action to aid charisma checks on your teammates when they are talking strategically, etc. Pretty fun little sheet for everyone to read. Right, moving on then to our DM section, we have Managing Monsters, Part 3. So the myriad monsters of the Forgotten Realms have many abilities to surprise and confound those they encounter. In Part 2 of Managing Monsters, we ran through the different types of information found on a monster's stat block and mentioned that you'd find a monster's special traits, if they have any, below this and the challenge rating. The last section of the stat block, meanwhile, contains the monster's actions. These are in addition to the list of standard actions, dash, hide, that is available to everyone. So, yeah, we got a page all about traits. So certain creatures will have certain traits, be it improved hearing, smell, or sight. Some might even have the ability to fight better in packs than they would on their own. So yeah, these will be explained in detail as and when they come up. So actions, monsters will usually have attacks, counterattacks, and special moves. Some might have magic, so they can act as spellcasters. Yeah, pretty cool. So not all monsters are tooth and claw. There are some that have a magical feature to them as well. Finally then, we got a bit about bonus actions and limited usage. So much like characters, creatures can do bonus actions, and certain actions that creatures have might be limited to certain amounts of times a day. So x/day, where x is the number of times in a day that a character can use, or a monster can use a effect, such as the magical animate trees from the tree aunt. He can use this once per day. And then we even have note on certain ones having recharge rolls. So you can recharge an ability on a certain dice roll. As we see here, recharge on a 5 to 6 for the Red Dragon's Fire Breath. Alright, moving on, we've got all about missing and new players. It's game night, everyone's been looking forward to it, but one player drops out at the last minute. Plus another player wants their friend to join the party, but the party is already 3rd level. Here's some creative ways to adapt to these common unforeseen circumstances. So yeah, real life will often get in the way of D&D. I know it's gotten in the way of me several times, where I've had to miss out on a session due to other commitments. But yeah, it's always important to think about how you can use the character while the player is away. If you've got your team and they know their all the players' characters fairly well, you can have someone step in for them. You could also decide to give them a solo adventure and another session to help them catch up. You could have it that they never left, they were just in the background. And you might make the encounter easier by reducing the amount of enemies the main party will face by having a few face off against the character in the background. And the DM will then roll behind screen for all the attacks. So when it comes to entering a new player, it's important to remember that while you know them in real life, your party won't exactly know them in game. So a total stranger, no one in the party has met this new character before, so you want to know why they are joining. An easy link is that the new character has been wronged by another character's nemesis. You of course need to think about the backstory baggage, so this will include other players by encouraging to discuss links between characters. Perhaps you've met them in the past, or perhaps they have rescued you. Yeah. And then there's the side story, so if you have a new player who wants to join the party, but the others in the party are already several levels ahead, you might want to do small one-on-one missions to help them level up, or even get everyone to take on new characters to help the new player ease into the setting and all level up together. Finally then, we have the side story option. So this is where you get everyone to create a first level character, or in the case of those that have multiple characters, have a spare first level character ready to go. And you start a new sort of mini campaign just to help the new character get up to the same level as everyone else. And then you can easily reintroduce that character to your main story arc. Moving on then, so we have the Taverns and Inns article. So there's nothing like a night at the pub, and in D&D that can get you a safe room to rest in, fresh provisions, and even new quest hooks. So every good adventure starts at an inn or tavern, and yeah, this is where everyone can pretty much group together and enjoy some much needed downtime. So things you can do while in a tavern: you can of course rest, you can listen out for rumours, you can gather information that might be important to your current quests, and you can also use this as distractions and diversions from your main quest, and yeah, a break pretty much. But just remember to consider things that even small events such as this will have a larger effect on the world around you. Next up then, we have an article about a very unique type of inn, that is the Yawning Portal. So this is built at the foot of Mount Waterdeep. It was originally a place for the evil wizard Halaster Blackcloak, but eventually the tower fell into ruins. But beneath the tower are miles and miles of tunnels and caverns known as the Undermountain. So this is the largest dungeon within Faerun. Centuries later, another adventurer by the name of Durnan was the first to find and return from this vast labyrinth. He retired from adventuring and set the tavern up around it. Yeah, you can pay a gold piece to have him descend you into the mine via a pulley system and bucket sort of thing, or as they call it, riding the rope. The return trip will cost you another gold piece, but you must send it up in advance. And then, yeah, there's of course not the best of things to meet down there. It is a beautiful place to go to, maybe for the more braver adventurers. But yeah, it's not the best place for someone new and looking to experience the simpler things. Finally, then, we have the most important things of being at an inn, and that is what can you get. So we have foods and drinks, and then we have type of lodgings as well. So yeah, pretty handy little information there. We got the items in alphabetical order and their cost as well in gold or silver or copper. Moving on then, we have a page all about contests, challenges and tournaments. So a test of skill, stamina or strength may involve a more direct challenge where the parties must compete to see who is victorious. So this is a nice little article that helps DM add in fun little non-combatant sorts of challenges for their players to overcome. So as we know, most checks have a DC or difficulty class setting, which is set by the DM. They need to obviously equal or exceed this DC to successfully complete the task in question. So we also have contested checks. So this goes into making different types of checks depending on what they are doing. So I believe the example gives that we got two arm wrestlers both make strength checks. In other ways, they may use difficult abilities such as wisdom opposed to dexterity when one is hiding and the other is seeking. So yeah, important to remember there. Then we have opposing goals. This is the example I was actually thinking of. So it mentions all about someone trying to break a door down and another person trying to keep the door sealed. You'll need to roll off on these. And of course, whoever wins will gain the success to their endeavours. There's also things such as the tug of war that you can consider as well. So challenges then for your players. So aside from the examples above and on the previous page, there are a number of ways DMs can incorporate contests effectively into your games. So we've got darts, eating contests, which is a pretty common one at village fairs, jousting, gambling, and even a staring contest. And as we see here, snail racing. Moving along then, we start taking a look at the different factions of Faerun. So it's more than just a social club. Membership in a faction can benefit your character and add flavour to their adventures. So we've encountered a few of these factions before in previous issues and encounters, but we are now given a little bit more in-depth look. So much of the page here just gives you a rundown on factions and how to join them, as well as how you start off at the lower level of the faction, and as you complete quests or adventures, etc., you will eventually rise through the ranks a bit. This is, of course, all up to the DM to decide how this is done. Then we got a coverage on the 5 major factions. So my personal favourite, the Emerald Conclave, We have the Harpers, the Lord's Alliance, which we've already encountered and had a bit of coverage on. The Order of the Gauntlet, again, we've already covered and met them. And the Zentarim as well. So we've got a top tip here. So if your party joins any factions, such as those who are invited to join the Harpers at the end of Encounter 3, you can record this detail on your allies and organizations. This may be important for future campaigns hooks. Right, next up then we have a look at a new species, the Genasi or Genasi. So it's time to unbottle one of the Forgotten Realms' rarest and most remarkable species. So while they are humanish in appearance, the Genasi are actually derived from the elementals and the genies or jinns that control those elements. Usually they come about when a genie takes on the form of a mortal and breeds with another mortal, and the offspring of that encounter will most likely inherit some of the powers of their genie father. So there's two different ways you can do a Genasi. You can either be the archetypal or a rather unique type, much like you can do with any and all characters. And then we have a look at the different types. So unlike most species, the Genasi are actually divided up into 4 subcategories, and these are based on the 4 elements. So depending on their heritage, Genasi come in the 4 main varieties, each matching the elemental plane that their genie parent or ancestor will call home. Though genies are supernatural beings drawn towards good, like genies, or evil, like the Tao and Efreeti, their Genasi descendants are mortals and don't feel the same call towards either good or evil. So we've got earth, water, fire, and air, and they each have rather unique features. So we have the earth here. Offsprings of the wicked and voracious Tao are remarkably strong and sturdy, with the ability to move effortlessly across rugged terrain. They appear constantly grubby, while others exhibit a pebbly hide, crystalline features, or even skin that looks like shiny gemstones. As you see here, got a nice grey gemstone type skin. Then the water Genasi, often blue or green skin. They will vary depending on the type of water they draw their power from, so either fresh or seawater. The fire Genasi are usually red-skinned with bright orange hair. They are often very hot. Some will have ash grey skin as well, and some even have flames flickering across them. And finally, the air Genasi then are often blue or pale greys. It looks like there is a constant wind blowing over them as their skin, clothes, and hair all ripple with the as if they're rippling in a breeze. So there we have that. Right, finally, before we look at our new adventure, we have a little bit of lore about the Sea of Swords. Giants, pirates, sea elves, and storms. The waters off the Sword Coast are as full of adventures as the land they wash up against. So we know the area we travel has been called the Sword Coast, and that is for the simple reason it borders the Sea of Swords. So yeah, this goes in to cover certain areas around the coast, as well as some of the areas that border it. Not all of these are pleasant places to visit. So we have the Welcoming Isles. So not everywhere in the Sea of Swords is a place to be avoided or endured. Burr does recommend the island of Ulumbor as the best place to repair or purchase a ship. Its shipwrights are the finest in all of Toriel, or so she claims, having supplied the fleets of Waterdeep. She also highlights the purple rocks of the Northlander Isles as a place which provides welcome shelter during a storm, although they do note the strange fact that her crew encountered no children or elderly, and was disturbed by the sinister squid totem she observed everywhere. So again, be careful. And finally, Burr's writings indicate that there is truly a wide variety of cultures and experiences to encounter upon the sea. If we go back a page, Burr is a halfling who has, or gnome, sorry, who is a sailor and spent most of their life upon the waves and knows more about the Sword Coast and its inhabitants than anyone else alive today. Finally then, for the issue, we have our encounter. So, Adventure 2, Encounter 16, A Night to Remember. Balanced for second level players, they can use your pre-generated characters or your own. So, the encounter overview. The characters arrive in Neverwinter and receive their fee from Orm Greywind for transporting him safely to the city. They spend an exciting evening at the Beach Leviathan, a famous tavern and inn in the Blue Lake district. While there, they meet a few of the locals, compete in a contest of strength, play a game of chance, and fight a group of ruffians that have had a little too much to drink. So, the encounter goals. The adventure provides several encounters for the party to engage within any way that they choose. The expected path for them to celebrate at the Beach Leviathan, participate in the events that take place there, fight off the scoundrels that intimidate them. If the players avoid these encounters or want to do something else, you can still use these events as inspiration for random encounters as the characters explore Neverwinter of their own volition. So, yeah, here we see the inn, which is actually a boat moored up permanently. And yeah, nice little place for you to enjoy a flagon of ale, round of cards, etc. So we've got quite a few NPCs that we encounter. So we've got a captain, Thalia Ashfields there, Jabal Reese. There's chance to pick up some rumours, an arm wrestling competition you can have a go at, games of chance. So we got different games, dice jack, card games, etc. You will encounter bandits here, as they are more likely to actually be playing those sort of games. And finally then we have a bar fight. So 8 drunken bandits swagger into the tavern. The orc bouncer asks them to leave, but they get a bit aggressive. So yeah, you have to basically knock them out and take them outside. For your troubles, you are rewarded with a rust bag of tricks, which is a nice little magic item. Then we got a little text box all about the different slang that you can hear in the tavern itself. So, for instance, we've got albatross here, which is someone that brings bad luck to the tavern. Batten the hatches, shut your mouth. Or even heel to fall over. Then we got our profiles. So we got a bard who we encounter. We got the captain, and we even have a guard there as well. So that's it. Let's bring everything back in. I'll give you my final thoughts on issue 16. So there we have it. That was issue 16 of Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer. Not the most exciting of issues, especially when it comes to the free gift. The inspiration tokens are fun and whimsical. I don't see this worth the price of admission, really. We are getting another 5 later on as well, so we will end up with 10, more than enough for everyone, or at least one for every character that we have. So a fun little addition to D&D Dungeoneer kit for players and DMs. I'm still struggling to see value in some of these issues. I'm also struggling to see who this this magazine's aimed at. This particular issue is very heavily aimed at the DM, which is good. So if you're struggling for ideas on things to include in your adventures, this is a very handy issue to read through. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see whether this is for ideally new players or advanced players or maybe even intermediate players. The early issues heavily lent towards this is more for in new people and those getting into the game. But yeah, as we've gotten on, we're starting to see. I've seen a lot of people mention that we're not getting all the information that you're expected to know. We might do it in future issues. It's hard to tell. We are still in the early part of the collection. But yeah, who knows what will happen in the next few issues. I'm still going to keep collecting until at least the end of the subscriber gifts, so that's another 2 deliveries time. Maybe by then I'll have had enough of the issues and enough to make a decision on whether to keep going. But yeah, I do enjoy it. It's a good magazine. It's ideal. I just wish it was a little cheaper. $8.99 for very little in the way of physical content. Sure, the knowledge inside the books are handy, but they're not giving it to us in a sort of consistent flow. Next issue, we have a look at a new class that we get to play, and we don't get all the information straight away. We actually get just the first level information and the second level for part 1 of 3 information. And we also only get the level 2 character sheet, which is kind of a bit of a letdown, I think. We'll cover that in the next issue, though. Yeah, I think this is probably going to be 2 out of 5, 2.5 out of 5 at best. Not the best issue we've had. Issue 4 that came with our first set of standees, I felt was a little more value. It's definitely something I would consider having myself. I prefer to have a physical representation of adventurers and monsters or to encounter. But the inspiration tokens, I feel cardboard cutouts would have been just as good. Not as long lasting unless you laminated them, I must admit, but still I probably would have preferred perhaps a sheet of cutout tokens with 1 issue than, you know, these chunky 3D elements. They're going to be kind of intrusive, especially if you're using dungeon boards, etc. They're a little larger than the standard 1-inch squares. They're more akin to nearly 2-inch wide. Yeah, definitely not my favourite of the issues. But maybe you think it is one of the better issues. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of it. Are you, like me, wondering what this collection is going to end up like, or do you have a more hopeful outlook? Just let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you when I can. So yeah, that's it for this issue. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, keep rolling those crits.